Hey super fans, welcome back to Pop Culture Cineplex. Today we're gonna be ranking all 8 superhero movies we've got in 2023. From the least impressive movies that I didn't really care about to the absolute showstoppers which gave me one hell of an experience at the theaters. I know you're gonna love this list, so what are you waiting for? Smash the heck out of the like button so that we can get started. At the bottom of the list is The Marvels, the sequel to Captain Marvel, as well as a spin-off from Miss Marvel, and also had some elements from WandaVision and more. It's that kind of a movie that nobody really cared about. Even though Captain Marvel made over $1 billion at the box office, this movie just did not deliver and it failed big time. I personally never took these characters from the Marvel very seriously, so I had zero expectations from this movie and I was not surprised at all. This movie was pretty basic and generic. I just didn't feel that there's any big superhero stuff going on. I felt like Brie Larson did well as Captain Marvel, she looked good, but in my opinion, Miss Marvel carried the movie. Next up, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the movie which kicked off the latest phase of MCU and officially introduced us to our new big bad, Kang. But again, it wasn't the best MCU movie of this year, and it just didn't feel right to introduce Kang like this in an Ant-Man movie. Similar to the Marvels, this movie was entertaining in some scenes, but as a whole, it wasn't a great movie. But the reason why I'm ranking this over the Marvels is just because this movie is more bearable, and in my opinion, the only good thing about this movie is Jonathan Majors as Kang. But there's a problem with that too. I felt that Kang was pretty weak in this movie, and that's not a good sign. I mean, just imagine, you've introduced Kang and you have him defeated by Ant-Man. It just doesn't feel right, and it's hard to like this movie and get excited. At number 6, we have Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I enjoyed it, had a great time at the theaters. It was light and funny, and you didn't really have to use your head too much for this. It was just a 2-hour time pass kind of a mid-movie. Zachary Levi absolutely killed it as Shazam or Billy, but it has similar problems like the Marvel where you don't really have a great story to tell, and you also have villains who don't make you feel there's something really bad going on. It was pretty basic and generic, and it was also a film from a dying universe. I mean, now that it's dead, but at the time it was still there, and it was not a good send-off either. In the 5th place, we've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The movie bids farewell and ends the DCEU. Not with a bang, but with another flop. Similar to Shazam: Fury of the Gods, I had a great time at the theaters. I loved Jason Momoa as Aquaman. It just felt like he was enjoying filming this movie, and he didn't have to work out for this movie because he got his muscle suit. He was drinking his favorite beer, talking about greasy burgers and tacos. It just felt like more of Jason Momoa than Arthur Curry. It's good and bad, and I also loved the relationship with Arthur and Orm. It was pretty good too, and we all love James Wan's direction style here. It would have been even more amazing if Warner Brothers didn't really interfere in his work. One of the other demerits of this movie is that a decade ago when we got Man of Steel by Zack Snyder, who started this universe, it felt like the stakes were so big and dangerous. The movie was so intense, serious and dark that I absolutely loved and enjoyed. And after 10 years, we get a movie like Aquaman 2 where everything is so hilarious and light that after a while you don't really take things seriously and you don't feel the weight you're supposed to feel in the movie. Number 4 goes to Blue Beetle. Surprisingly disconnected from DCEU, it offered a pleasant surprise. The fun, visually striking and emotionally resonant experience made it stand out. And I felt it had a lot of connections from Venom and Iron Man, with the metal suit and you hear a voice inside your suit, and he also learns like how Eddie learns from Venom. So yeah, it was decent. It was a really good experience at the theaters for me. Into our top 3, we've got The Flash. Look, I know the fact that this wasn't the best DC project out there, especially when it comes to CGI, VFX and stuff like that, and Ezra Miller is not the best person to play a superhero or anything like that for the kind of stuff what he has done outside, and after doing this movie, you just cannot stand there and pretend as if nothing happened. So I get that. But I'm a guy who's more story driven, and I love the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie we got a decade ago. I also love the fact that this movie's story was almost 70 to 80% of the Flashpoint Paradox movie. I would have liked it more if they completely copied and pasted the entire Flashpoint Paradox story to this one, but I understand why that did not happen. They wanted to get Michael Keaton's Batman back in order to sell more tickets, and that's why, in my opinion, the story was modified. And Michael Keaton hasn't lost a step as Batman. Even at this age, he's able to pull off Batman, and he carried the entire second half of the movie. And one more thing that I liked about this movie was whenever you see Michael Keaton's Batman on screen, you feel it's Tim Burton who's directing that part of the movie. And I think that was amazing from Andy Muschietti. Even though the third act of this movie was weird, I think other than that, story-wise, this movie was good. It had a good action sequence to start. I liked the baby saving scene and Ben Affleck's Batman chasing Falcone's son. Even with bad CGI, it was pretty decent, and it was a nice way to say goodbye to Ben Affleck's Batman as well. I know this wasn't amazing with, disrespecting legends by bringing them back through CGI, and 2 Barrys or 2 Ezra Millers were very annoying, but this movie was bearable compared to the other movies below this list. Our runner-up is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the perfect send-off to an amazing team. The Guardians trilogy is one of the best, if not the best trilogies in the entire MCU. I loved the first Guardians movie back in 2014. I thought Volume 2 was alright, but I felt it was a little bit of a step down compared to the first one. But Volume 3 was best of all in my opinion. The humor was spot on and the storyline flows just right. Every character gets their moment to shine and the action sequences are fantastic and the CGI surpasses some of the recent Marvel projects. Throughout the film, Rocket's character is central to the plot and his journey is one of the most compelling and impactful elements of the movie. I also loved Adam Warlock's spectacular introduction. His hardcore presence surpassed Kang's depiction from Quantumania in my opinion. The only demerit from this movie for me is that sometimes it felt like James Gunn just picked some of his favorite songs from his playlists and then built scenes around them. Overall, it's a great movie with the perfect mix of humor, heart and action. But my number one is none other than Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. It's a multiverse animated movie which is a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. Man, it was a masterpiece. This movie is an absolute standout in every category, representing the pinnacle of cinematic excellence. I'm in awe of the tremendous effort invested in creating this masterpiece. Every element left me utterly amazed. And it's not about just the animation, it's also about the story. Similar to Guardians 3, this movie is also a perfect mix of humor, emotion and action. I love how we get a glimpse of Gwen's story in this movie. Her scenes with Captain Stacy and Miles are truly special. Another thing that I loved about this movie is that there are a lot of characters in this movie and their screen time is very well balanced and they add those valuable moments into this movie very nicely. I also loved Oscar Isaac's Spider-Man 2099 or Miguel O'Hara and current Sony Spider-Man India, and I also loved the return of Jake Johnson's Peter B. Parker. I think these characters were the missing piece of the movie. Overall, I think it's a great sequel to an amazing origin movie and it's one of the best animated movies out there, if not the best, and in my opinion, this is also one of the best movies of 2023. So there you have it, that's my ranking of all the superhero movies in 2023. What's your take on these rankings? Share your thoughts in the comments below and I'd love to know your list too, so please don't forget to comment in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more superhero updates. Until next time, stay super.